Hey friends, so today we're going to talk about gravity, we're going to talk about astronauts, we're going to talk about NASA. So gravity is the force that's pulling everything to the Earth. Now, the story of gravity was, it was discovered by a man named Isaac Newton. So he's sitting down, drinking some tea underneath a big apple tree. And all of a sudden an apple, bunk, fell on his head. And he's thinking, he's like, why is the apple falling down instead of just rolling through the air? So he did a lot of investigation, a lot of studying, and he learned that there's a force that pulls things to the ground. And I'm going to show you guys a cool experiment. Now, we have water, right? Water, if we pour it, it goes straight down. If water was in outer space, it would bubble up. Now, gravity is the thing that pulls everything towards the Earth. Now, you know how the Earth is a big ball? There's something right in the middle that allows things to pull towards the middle. It's like kind of like a magnet. It pulls everything down. So if I take a pencil and I throw it up, it falls down. Ow! And it pokes you in the finger. There's a video that I put on our Padlet that shows you more about gravity. It explains it a little bit more in depth. Now, there's also an experiment you can do and see how gravity works. If you jump up, you don't float and fly. You fall right back to the ground. If you throw things up in the air, they fall down. If I hold it up here, it falls. It doesn't shoot back up, doesn't float around, but in outer space, it does. In outer space, everything floats around because there's less gravity. There's nothing pulling it in. Besides for Earth's gravity, we also have the moon's gravity. Now, the moon is what controls the waves going in and out. So when you go to the beach and you see the waves rolling in and you see them rolling out, that's the moon doing it. The moon has its own gravitational pull. Now, you see this? We have the Earth in the middle. And this is Earth's gravitational pull. It's pulling everything in. Then the moon also has a gravitational pull. So when it's far away, the waves stay very low. But when it's close, the waves stay very high. That's what we call high tide and low tide. So sometimes you'll go to the beach and you'll see the waves are really far out. It's because the moon is not as close to the Earth as it could be. And when the waves are come crashing really high on the beach, it's high tide. Okay? Now, we learned a lot about space starting in the 1950s. There was something called the space race. Now, the reason we learned about things in space was because we had a competition many, many years ago. Russia and America were trying to race to see who can get into outer space first, who can launch something. They can launch a rocket or a person there. So the first person to get into outer space went in there in 1959. He orbited the Earth. So he followed the Earth he was able to get into a ship and go all the way around there. But before that, the first thing to go into outer space was something called Sputnik, launched by Russia. America and Russia were in a race. We were trying to see who can get to outer space first, who can win the race. Now, you know how sometimes you're with your friends and you want to be first in line, you want to be the first one to get somewhere? You kind of like run, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there. When we're outside on the playground, it's like, okay, everybody start at this wall. Let's see who can get to the other one. Who can get to that wall first? It was like America and Russia were racing to get to the wall. They were racing to get to outer space. And once they got there, they tried a little bit harder to race to get back the other way. So Russia was the first one to get things into space. They launched a satellite called Sputnik. Now, a satellite is a thing that orbits the Earth. Now, the Earth has the gravitational pull, and all these satellites float around the Earth. It follows its gravitational pull, and as it spins around the sun, it makes its revolution. The satellites stay close to it. We're going to talk a little bit more about satellites in a few minutes. Now, because Sputnik had got into outer space first, America said, we need to get there too. We want to see what all the fuss is about. So they created something called NASA, the National Aeronautics Space Administration. So it was kind of like, it was this organization that was dedicated to studying outer space. So if you're going to be an astronaut, when you're little, you think, I want to be an astronaut. So I want to study science. I want to study math when I go to school. Right now, we're only in pre-K. And next year, we're going to go to kindergarten. Then we're going to go to elementary school. And then we're going to go to middle school and high school. When you go to college, you have to study a lot of science and a lot of math, because you have to do calculations. You have to measure, how far is this planet from here? How far is this star? How far is this traveling? So you need to use a lot of math. That's why we focus a lot on math in school. Now, they created NASA, which has 3 symbols. So back in 1958, this was the first symbol. Then in the 1974, they made a new one when they started launching a lot more ships into outer space. And then we had our new logo, which started in 1992, of just a circle, and it kind of has outer space, and it has a little orbit on it, and it has a little, what could that be? It kind of looks like a comet going through it. Now, back to the space race. So, America and Russia were racing to get to outer space. And you know what? They wanted to get to the moon. Who can get to the moon first? So Earth decided we're gonna try very hard, and we're gonna get to the moon first. So in 1964, July, the first rocket got to the moon. And there's a video on your Padlet you can watch of the first man walking down from a space shuttle and landing on the moon. And he put his foot down, and when he said something very, very famous, he said, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. So remember, step is very little, but leap is like a big jump. And that rang throughout the whole nation. Everybody's tuned in, even in Russia, to watch the first human land on the moon. And that was super, super cool. And everyone was so excited, yay, we did it. And the man that did it, his name was Neil Armstrong, he took a flag, he took an American flag, and he pushed it into the Earth, he pushed it into into the moon, the Earth, which is the ground. He pushed it into the ground on the moon, and he said, I claim this for Earth, not for Americans, but for Earth, for everybody on our planet. And that united all of the different countries. They decided, you know what, let's all do this together. So, as the time went by, they started launching more things into space. They launched a chimpanzee, they launched a dog, and then other countries started launching people into space. And eventually, they all started working together at the International Space Station. A space station, they're up there, they're observing different things that are going on the planet and making sure everything in outer space is good. They're over there checking all the different satellites. They're making sure the satellites are working. Now, what satellites do is they help us find where we are on the planet. Now, you ever hear mommy or daddy put up their cell phone and say, oh, put the GPS on? The GPS is a global positioning system. The globe, meaning our Earth, tells us the position, which is the spot, of where we are. So what will happen is our cell phones will shoot it back up to outer space, and then they shoot information back down to tell us where we are and where we need to go. So that's why the astronauts stay out there, to make sure everything works, to make sure all our satellites up there. Also, satellites are used to put things on TV and to send out different signals to Earth. So our satellites help a lot of the technology we have on our planet. But while they're in outer space, do you think they could just go there and just swim around and wear, a bathing suit, because they're outside and they're close to the sun? No, they have to wear a very, very special uniform. They have to wear a helmet because in outer space, they don't have the air we have on Earth. On Earth, we can breathe in and breathe out. We breathe air. We have air that goes into our lungs. In outer space, there's no air. The air that they have there, it doesn't help our lungs. And also, it's very, very cold. Even though the sun is out there, the sun's not shining into the Earth. Like we talked about how the Earth is the perfect distance away from the sun, that it's not too high and it's not too cold. The Earth has something around it called the ozone, and it's kind of something that keeps all the heat in, so it keeps the Earth warm. Even when it's freezing cold, it's still not as cold as it's in outer space. So they have to wear a really big spacesuit, kind of like a snowsuit, that keeps them warm. It keeps all the heat in on their body so they don't freeze. And on their back, they have a big pack that's full of air so that they can breathe and do things. Now, when the astronauts are in outer space, they have to make sure that they have all their protection on, and they have to make sure they have a string that connects them to the space station so they don't float away, because there's no gravity in outer space. If there's no gravity, everything floats. I put a video on Padlet for you guys to see how gravity works. There's different foods on there, and it shows how the foods float all around. So the astronauts all work together, Russia, America, China, all different parts, Poland, they all work together. There's other countries that are there that work together on the International Space Station doing different things. There's different scientists, there's different engineers, people that work with technology, and they go to make sure everything's working okay. Now, you know how mommies and daddies, they have to go get their cars checked out, make sure that, everything's working nice on the car? That's what they do. They check to make sure everything's working on there, making sure all the signals are being sent out to Earth and everything's working, because sometimes there's things that shoot through outer space. There's meteors, which are rocks, and sometimes it's just debris, just things that broke off from other places that hit the space station and hit the satellites. So they need to make sure that they fix whatever is broken. Now, when they're in outer space, they have to make sure that they are working out. Because when you go to NASA, when you first go there, they want you to make sure that you work out. You're really, really strong. So they have workout things up there, because when you're up there, your muscles don't really work, because on Earth, we put our arms up, they fall down. But in outer space, our arms just float up. So we need to make sure they keep their muscles very, very strong. Now, when they first made NASA back in the 1960s, they would recruit different soldiers. They recruit people from the Marines and the Navies and scientists, all people that were strong and smart, so that they could go to outer space and they could do all the stuff they had to do. They had to do training. They had to make sure their bodies are ready to be in outer space. Now, I have a really cool activity that I printed up and I put on our Padlet, not our Padlet, on our Google Classroom, that I want you guys to look through. Now, we're gonna read it together, and then we're going to answer the questions, and I want you guys to do the same thing, okay? So we're going to read the poem, and then here are the questions that we're going to fill out together here, but then I want you to do it at home too, okay? So I want you guys to practice writing the words, copying the words on there. It might be a little tricky, because these are some new big words, but I'm pretty sure you guys can figure it out. You guys can do it. And if you don't want to write, use your voice. You guys can try to use your memories to remember things that we're learning and telling us that. You can send a video if you want, or you can put them up, but make sure when you're going on Google Classroom that you guys are writing a comment or you're submitting the activity so that I know that you did it, so I can take attendance. That's how I'm taking attendance, is by going on my Google Classroom and seeing what got done and what got submitted. And once you submit it, you get points. You get 100 points. So by the end of the week, you get 500 points. That's a lot. And when we all get back to school, if my friends have 500 points for every week, we might get a special treat. So I want you guys to keep working on there. I don't know how many weeks we're going to be doing this from home, but hopefully it's not a lot. And I want us to be able to get all of our points for every week. So we're going to do 5 every week. And then we also have a quiz that I want you guys to do. The quiz is very, very easy. It has all the answers, but I want you guys to practice reading and answering them. You can work with your mommies, daddies, or you can work with your older siblings that can help you read. Okay, so let's do the activity. So, astronaut. Astronauts study space. Astronauts learn about stars and planets. Astronauts use satellites. Astronauts wear space suits. Astronauts work on a space shuttle. Some live and work on a space station. Okay, so now it has the sentences and it's missing the last word. And those are the words that are in bold. So let's do the first one. Astronauts study. What do astronauts study? They study space. So my pen's not working. S-P-A-C-E, space. So the first answer is space. You can see the answers from before because I tried to film this and it got a little messed up. So we're going to do it over again. Next one. Astronauts learn about stars and what else? What else do they learn about the stars and the things that go around the sun? The planets. Planets. Okay. Now, astronauts use what? Astronauts use what? They use satellites, the things that are floating around the Earth's orbit. Satellites. Oops. There's also a great song. I'm going to put it on because it's fun and I like it. by the Dave Matthews Band called Satellites. I think it's such a great song, and because it says Satellites in it, I'm going to put it on there, and maybe if Mommy and Daddy are fans, they can listen to it. If not, it's still a fun song I want you guys to listen to. Because if we were in class, we'd be playing it and we'd be dancing along to it. So why don't you guys do that at home? And maybe you guys can become new fans of Dave Matthews, because I love him. He's one of my favorites. Anyway, so astronauts wear space. What do we think we wear? They wear space bathing suits? No, just suits. Do they wear space helmets? Yes. So with their helmet is a special suit. So suits. Some astronauts work on a spaceway. What do they work on? They work on a shuttle. Shh. Remember, SH makes a sh sound. And then last one. Some live and work on a what? On the International Space Station. Right there. Space Station. St. ST makes this the st sound. Okay. So remember, go on Google Classroom, and it's going to be posted on there. I want you guys to try to fill this out. If you want to print it up, fill it out, and take a picture and send it back to me. That could be considered being submitted. Or you guys can just do a video and just tell me what the answers are. I want you guys to keep the learning going on when you're at home, okay? Because we have so much fun stuff to learn. Also, we're going to go over the words one more time so you guys can see them big, okay? So, hold on, let me fold my paper so you guys can see the word a little bit. Let's sound it out because it's a good vocabulary word. Astronaut. Astronauts. Next one. Where do astronauts go? To space. And what do they study? Planets. And what are those things that go around the sun? Not around the sun, I'm sorry. The planets go around the sun. The thing that goes around the Earth that is held tight by its orbit is satellites. Satellites. Next one. What do they wear when they're in outer space to keep them warm and to keep being able to breathe? Suits. Next one, they go up there in shuttles. And the last one, they work on the space stations. Okay? Oop, I lost one of my papers. So I want you guys to make sure you're checking Padlets every single day to do the fun activities on there, watching the video. There's a video on there about different food that the astronauts eat when they're out there. Now, they can't just make a pizza and put it in the oven. They have to have special food because then it'll float away. So what you guys do, make sure you go on Padlet and look up the video. Also, there's another one about gravity that explains it a little bit more. And there's experiments you could do, just throwing things up in the air and watching them fall. Or what you can do is pretend to be an astronaut. And what you do is you get ready in your rocket and you blast off. And the way that you count down the rocket, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. And I want you guys to pretend to blast off in the air. And while you're blasting off, use your imagination and think, what would you see in outer space? We've seen different pictures and you're watching videos on there. What's something you can see? Do you think maybe you'll see an alien? Do you think you'll see maybe rockets or satellites and things like that? So you guys can pretend like that. If you have brothers and sisters at home, make sure you're pretending to do that. Also, there's activities on there that I want you guys to try. Make sure that you made your Oreo moon. I want to see if you guys do that. To make Oreo moons, take pictures, send them to me. Also, if you're going to take a picture, make sure you tell mommy and daddy that it's okay to write me an email, tell me it's okay to post them. Because other people want to see the cool things that we're doing. And you guys know I love seeing you guys, and I miss you so much. I miss Isaac and Emily. I even miss Katie, because Katie's kind of a part of our class. She comes in every morning, and she drops off Emily, and then she leaves. And guess what? Emily and Katie got a new baby. Mommy had a baby. So everyone, congratulations to Emily and Katie for being big sisters. And then Amelia, we miss you. And Raja and AJ and Anaya and Azan and Mia and Faith and Jackson and Dylan and Valentina. I miss you guys so much, and I can't wait for you guys to be back in class doing all the fun stuff. I'm going to see if I can get Miss Pam to come up here and send you a video too, because she's been asking about you guys and saying she misses you guys so much. So keep working on the stuff on Padlets and checking on your Google Classrooms. Also, you guys can get activities on education.com, and you can do fun games on Happy Numbers. I gave mommies and daddies all the logins, and if you guys want, you can watch stories on Vooks. We still have the feels on there. We have all the fun Slumberkins. I know you guys love Slumberkins and the feels story. So if you guys want to just calm down and you want to just be mellow, watch the feels on Vooks. All right, guys, tomorrow we're going to talk about the different planets. We're going to talk about the 8 planets that we have. And we're going to talk a little bit about Pluto, because Pluto used to be a planet, but we're still going to include him because, we want to make everyone feel welcome. Now, remember, today we talked about outer space, we talked about the tides that the moon controls, and we talked about gravity, and we talked about the moon. And the moon landing happened in July 1969. And when July 1969 happened and we landed on the moon, we won the space race. And then we eventually worked with the rest of the world to get us into outer space. So if you guys have any questions or any fun things that you want me to talk about and add to my video tomorrow, because tomorrow we're talking about planets, tell mommy's daddy, send me emails, and just keep working on those Padlets activities. I have printouts for you guys to do. I have math activities. I think tomorrow we might do a quick math of adding, subtracting, just so you guys get that back in your head. And remember, there's a number line if you guys want to practice your number line or using your fingers. I'm trying to put simple math on there since I'm not there to help you guys. All right? I miss you guys so much. I can't wait for us to get back to class. But I'm also loving doing these videos for you guys. I do miss your interaction though. So hopefully we get back soon and then we can get back to our fun learning. I miss you guys.